2022 Stonewall meeting. We are pleased to have Congressman John Garamendi here. We'll go ahead and get started. We have Joseph Hayden is taking minutes for us. Thank you. We are going to have elections tonight, but just real quick, our agenda is as follows. This was sent out, so you should have it in your email. We have a call to order. We have a determination of quorum. Joseph has already done that. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance, and per our standing rules, it is optional, but we encourage everyone to follow their heart. So we will start that right now. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all, someday.
Right. So Thank you all for that. We will go ahead and get back to our agenda. Again, want to welcome you. We're going to recognize Congressman John Garamendi, but we're also going to recognize the other elected officials that we have in the House. Monica Brown, Supervisor for District 2 of Solano County, and also John Fox, who is getting ready to run for his second term of Vallejo Unified School District. So thank you all for coming here, and he's also our vice chair. So always good to have him. Anyone else everyone that I have missed? We see, oh, there's Don Osborne. But thank you all for being here. And Congressman, we're going to go ahead and hand it over to you so you can tell us about what's going on. And then besides what Monica and Anna have already questioned you about with regards to important things that they care about, but we want you to hear from you as to what we need to do to make sure that we can take our continue control of the House and also take the Senate if we need to, and ensure that we continue a democracy, because we know that there's some parties that don't cherish our democracy.
Very good, Tom. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with all of you. And a conversation is what I would really prefer this evening. I'm going to make very, very brief remarks here. I think most of us are now aware that the Redistricting Commission has completed its work for Vallejo, Benicia, and for Vacaville, Dixon, and Rio Vista. The big swap is underway. Mike Thompson and I are simply going to swap one end of the county for the other end of the county. I presently represent the eastern side of Solano County and Mike the western side, and in the new districts, it'll go the other direction. I look forward to representing Benicia as well as Vallejo. I currently and will continue to represent Fairfield and Sassoon City. Then the rest of the district goes over to Contra Costa County, is essentially the entire northern waterfront of Contra Costa County, beginning in Antioch and then going all the way down the river, around the bay to Richmond, taking in all of the communities. El Cerrito and Kensington would wrap it up on the southwest side of Contra Costa County. It's an exciting district. It's a district that has enormous potential and challenges. It is a district in which much of the work that we've been doing in eastern Contra Costa County can continue on into eastern Solano County and can continue on into western Solano County, really creating what we call the Interstate 80 Bio-Ag Research and Manufacturing Corridor. A lot of this is happening now as a result of UC Davis, the Medical Center in Sacramento, and the research units at UC Davis campus, leading to the largest biopharmaceutical manufacturing facility in the world in Vacaville, and more coming on in that area. There's every reason in the world that that can continue on down the Interstate 80 corridor all the way to Berkeley, providing transition opportunities for some 30,000 of the men and women that work in the 5 refineries that are in this district. Those refineries are not going to disappear anytime soon. And many of the problems that are created by those refineries will continue, but must be dealt with, and every effort made to reduce the problems. So we're looking at transition strategies there. For Vallejo, Mare Island presents an incredible opportunity and challenge. And so we're looking at that. My work on the maritime sector of the American economy fits very, very well with what could happen at Mare Island, and we'll work that through. All of this has to be done in the context of the communities and really how the communities want to develop their future, their economic future, and deal with the host of social, economic, and residual contamination issues from past industrial activity. And so these are the challenges. It happens to be what I've spent 40 years in public policy working on, and therefore very, very excited about the new district. Sad about losing the communities that I've represented for the last 12 years in the case of Vacaville, and 10 for the other communities. But a change is good. It presents a challenge to us and an opportunity to grow. So with that sort of an overview, love to talk about the voting rights issues or any other issues that you'd like to raise. And we're way into them. So Tom, let's go to a conversation.
All right. So do we have any questions for the congressman? Here, unmute and let's get it started. I'll ask one. So Congressman, what do you think about the, or what do you think America's position should be on countries that are having laws that are anti-LGBTQ, or that they are also creating instances where members of our community are being hunted down and killed? And how can Congress act to help with that?
In two ways. First of all, setting an example. Within the federal legislative domain, passed legislation that provides equal opportunities to everyone, the LGBTQ community specifically in this discussion. And we have such a bill that I'm co-authoring in Congress now called the Equality Act. And that would put the United States, the entire nation, in a position where we can then do what America has done well over the years, and that is to be not only a leader, but also an advocate for civil rights, civil justice, for democracy. And so that's specifically a piece of legislation. The good news is that we've moved beyond, well, Trump is no longer president. We've not moved beyond Trump, unfortunately, but we do have a president that in his every moment exemplifies the broad diversity of America and welcomes that as part of his agenda, and is supporting these pieces of legislation about equality and civil rights and civil liberties, and simultaneously making the American civil rights and democracy once again the standard that we want around the world. So that is happening. At the state level, there are many laws that are in place. Many of them go back to some very early days when I was in the California legislature. So that is where we can do. There is a third opportunity, and that is to put pressure on states that are gross violations of human rights, democracy, and certainly with the LGBT community. And we do that with sanctions of various kinds in countries that are grossly violating. So those are the three specific actions that the federal government can take and is taking. Hopefully the equality legislation will pass the Senate and Biden will have an opportunity to sign it. And in that signing ceremony, display the civil rights position of America so that the entire world can emulate what we're doing.
Great, thank you. Monica?
My concern are reproductive freedom in California, I'm not too concerned. We will always have pro-choice. That's in our Constitution. But I'm worried about what's happening in Texas, the Mississippi case that's coming forward. And so, John, I'm pre-Roe. I know what happened. What can we do? I'm really, really worried, especially the latest, which is that we don't care if you're raped or have incest, you're going to have to carry that baby. That is wrong.
Well, the entire thing is wrong, and that certainly stands out as the most wrong of all. There's reason for concern. Most people are betting that the Supreme Court's going to eliminate Roe v. Wade or very seriously diminish it. At the federal level, there will be legislation. The chances of it becoming law, the chances of it passing the House is good. The chances of it passing the Senate is slim, probably slim to none. And so the chances of a federal law that would take Roe v. Wade and make it the law of the land, the law of this nation, is what we ought to do. But I don't believe it's likely to happen in this Congress. And that then opens the discussion about the next Congress. Would there be a better chance in the next Congress? And I think somebody asked that we should pick that issue up and talk about that. And I'll hold in abeyance until somebody raises that question about what's the lay of the land for the Congress of the United States and the Senate. But Monica, it's very difficult and a very bad situation right now. We'll see. The Supreme Court will rule on that this year.
Right.
And that may have an effect. Well, that will have an effect in the next election. I can't say whether it'll be good or bad. Okay.
To me, I'm using it as a rally point of why we need to get involved and help send money to Georgia and to other places to make sure that we get a better majority than 50, which is not a majority. That's all. I know John has a question, but I'm sorry. I apologize, Congressman.
Go ahead.
Well, no, John Fox had a question, so that I didn't want to usurp the whole time because everybody here are probably thinking, be quiet, Monica. But I worry, John, these are for our kids, especially our girls.
I agree. I agree entirely. John, you had a question?
Yes, John Fox, I'm the Vallejo City's Unified School District trustee. And I also work in Pittsburgh as a teacher. I was wondering, is your new area, does it also cover Pittsburgh on Highway 4?
Yes, it does, John. It starts at Antioch, 160, and then essentially Highway 4 through Antioch, and then takes most of Pittsburgh and Bay Point, and then just continues on down.
Okay, that's where my 24 years of teaching has been, Bay Point and Pittsburgh. And then I've lived in Vallejo for 20 some years and been on the board and the school district for going on 4. Anyways, I have 2 questions. With special education, we're only funded for the federal government. We're supposed to be funded 40%. We're still only getting 18%, half of the funding we're supposed to get. In special education, as you know, declining enrollment is going on everywhere. But in special education, it's not declining, it's increasing. So our funding to be able to put on, to fund all these IEPs and all the services our students need, it's a lot of money. And to only be getting half, 18% of the 40% we're supposed to be getting, and I know you're not the Secretary of Education, I know that, but I'm just making you aware, we just had this discussion at our board meeting last night. It's just so much money that we keep putting out on an increasing population that keeps going up. So I just wanted to put that on your burner so that you're aware of that. If you want to speak to, you can, and I have one other item.
Well, we'll take the other item up. I'll take them both.
Okay, the other one is charter schools. In Vallejo, we've been very vulnerable for years. We were taken over by the state many years ago, and we're getting close to paying off the state receivership. We've closed schools, we've cut millions and millions of dollars on the 3 years I've been on the board. We've tried to right size the district. And in doing so, we've had so many charter schools come in And through Prop 39, we have to give them a site to operate, and we lose our students, which that loses more income. And it's hard to compete against these charter schools who make themselves seem so fancy when we keep we keep having cuts. So it's a very vicious cycle. And the charter schools don't always abide. It's getting better. It's getting better what they have to abide to, the rules, but it's still not the same. So I just wanted you to, anything that comes down for charter school, to try to make sure they have to abide by the same things. Monica knows exactly, her and I've had many talks on this. So those are the two things I just wanted to put forth that we're dealing with a lot here in Vallejo.
Let me put all of this in the context of California in social economic justice. In the mid 80s, I conducted a special Senate committee to look at California's future in the 21st century. We studied the past, we studied the future, and with the Stanford Research Institute, put forth 5 things that California needs to do to be a leadership state with social and economic justice. The first of the 5 was the best education in the world. And I've always held to that all these many, many years since then, that no matter what we do, the most important thing is education. And if we have a very well educated society, then the rest will fall in place. We don't today. And I can go back to, I'll go all the way back to the Prop 13. 3 of us realigned California financing following Prop 13. And what we did at that time was to provide an equal funding for every student in the state. We were obeying the Solano priest Supreme Court decision, California Supreme Court decision. Unfortunately, over the years, that has not happened. Subsequent legislators have simply ignored what we set out to do and put in place. And so here we are today with what you just described, John, a very difficult situation. With regard to the federal funding for special education, this is an ongoing challenge. And it's one of the things where everything we do is a choice. We choose to do one thing and choose not to do another. And right now, one of the things we're choosing to do is to spend a huge amount of money on unnecessary military equipment. For example, the replacement to the Minuteman III, which is going to be $250 billion over the next 15 years. What could we do with $215 billion? About $8 to $9 billion this year. We could fund special education at 100%. So that's the kind of debate we need to have and to put the money in those areas. With regard to charter schools, it's been an ongoing challenge. And you're quite correct. If we're going to have charter schools, they have to have the same requirements as every other school, as every public school. And they don't in many cases. And in some cases, they've been a profit-making organization under the umbrella of a nonprofit. And there are numerous scandals in the past. So I'm not a big advocate of charter schools. I believe that it's a way of selected students finding a better opportunity for them and leaving other students behind.
Yes, cherry picking.
So that's my general.
Thank you. I wanted to make one comment to end with mine. CSBA and others have tried to put things on the ballot because, as you stated, what are we, the 5th largest economy in the world, California? 5th to 6th. Anyways,
yes.
With that, it's just so shameful when you look at other states. They are funded education so much higher. We're not even, I think, half. It's embarrassing how much we're just not funded here in California for being such a large economy in the world. But the taxes that would cause for our citizens when we're already have so many taxes, that would raise so much. It's such a frustrating issue. But I wish we could fund a lot higher. So there's just so many issues to try to figure out and how to get through it all.
John, I've learned long ago not to go mess in somebody else's sandbox. However, there is a whopping surplus in the California budget. And the question for all of us, how is that surplus going to be spent? I just told you what my priority is. And it's been that way for more than 30 years now. So, you might want to keep all of that in mind as you look at the California political landscape. Now, okay. Thanks for the question, John.
And I'll keep talking to Bill Dodd and others.
Hey, Monica, you have another
There you go.
question?
Well, if nobody did, I was just gonna say, John, for me, it's to shelter our unsheltered and to make sure that I have what I need for my mental health constituents. Those are my two big concerns. Everything that John mentioned for education is important, but I need a place. So if I have kids that are 5150, they have a place to go. I need a place where the foster youth have a place to go live that has a roof and things are warm, and kids that get kicked out, like Tom talked about, our LGBTQ, they need a place to go. So I need that surplus money to go to that too, but I don't think Gavin gets it, but we keep working on it. That was my comment.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions? I see we're joined by Miss Jean Lykover.
Well, Tom, I think somebody raised, maybe it was you early in this conversation, about the lay of the land, the United States landscape, political landscape. Let me just go into that here. It's going to be a very difficult situation to hold the Congress. It can be done, but it's going to be tough, and particularly tough because of the gerrymandering that's going on in Republican states. It is grossly apparent that and Alabama is the example that we most recently have seen, where the Supreme Court ignored the Civil Rights Act, or at least the Voting Rights Act, which at least that part that remains. And that brings us to the issue of the John Lewis and the voting rights legislation that is held up in the Senate. It is extremely important that those bills pass so that everybody that is qualified to vote can vote and their vote be counted fairly and accurately. A subset of that legislation is standards for redistricting. If we were to have that become law soon, within the next couple of months, the Supreme Court could not be in a position to just brush aside lawsuits that disadvantage minority communities, as has happened in Alabama. So this becomes an extremely important part of the political landscape. How can we get Manchin and Sinema to carve out the 161st carve out for the filibuster rules of the House? Multiple times, over 160 times, there have been carve outs for the filibuster. But apparently this isn't important enough. I disagree, and we'll continue to work with Sinema and Manchin on that. There is another part of that legislation that is not so much discussed. Excuse me, there's another piece of legislation that is not so much discussed, but is extremely important. And that is a piece of legislation that the House is working on, and fortunately Manchin is working on. And that is the 1887 Electoral Count Act, which is in its current status, it is how Trump and the Trumpites intend to have a legal coup and override in the 2024 election the popular vote across the nation and in specific states. The 1887 law allows, should a state not be able to certify its election, it allows the legislature in that state to send its own slate of electors to Congress. This is precisely what Trump intends to do by putting in place county clerks, state registrars, and other election officials, so that in those key states, the vote would not be certified, thereby allowing the legislature to move to put Trump electors forward, even though the vote of that state might clearly, unambiguously be for Trump's opponent. So we're working on both of these, all three of these pieces of this puzzle. And it is in the hands of two senators as to whether we're going to have a democracy or not. And so if you're going to reach out across this nation, as you discussed a moment ago, I would focus on West Virginia and Arizona. And as much as you possibly can, persuade, raise the heat level so that there be an additional carve out for saving our democracy. These three voting rights pieces: redistricting, everyone that is qualified to vote can vote, and the votes be fairly counted. And the third thing is the 1887 revision of that law. So the rest of the story, that's where I would apply your efforts right now. The November election is further off, and to turn to that election, I would suggest that some of you are from the environmental community, and the mantra of the environmental community is think global, act local. In this case, global is the state of California. We have three districts that are clearly in contention. And we have another three, possibly four districts that we can turn red to blue. And that those become a key ingredient in keeping the House. So we could talk about those districts. They're going to be well known. One of the things that I will do in my campaign is to reach out, as Monica asked me to all of the clubs quarterly, rather sooner than quarter. And that's alert you to these necessities that we have in the state of California for the kind of advocacy that your organization has done so very well in the past.
Any more questions?
So with that, I'll take the next question if there is one.
Well, tell us who these people are, John, so I can start sending them money.
Bradley, work with me here. We have two in the Central Valley. We have the new district that is in the Stanislaus Merced area. It appears as though there may be one Democratic candidate there, a current member of the Assembly, Adam Gray. There's another couple of weeks for people to sign on, but that seems to be the way that's going. So that may be a November fight rather than a primary fight. The other one is the Valadeo district further to the south. That one is a seat held by a Republican, so that'll be red to blue. But it is it is actually a solid Democratic district that doesn't vote. It's about 60, maybe even 65% Latino. And so that's an opportunity to take a red to blue. The Garcia seat in the Ventura, North LA County area is another one that is a red to blue. The Levine seat in Orange and San Diego County is a seat we have to hang on to. I think, the Harder seat in Stockton is thought to be contentious, but I think at the end of the day, it will not be. I think Harder will take that seat, but it is one of those that is up that we need to hold as a Democratic seat. So those are the 1, 2, 3. I need one more Democratic seat here for the three Democratic seats, Bradley.
That I would say it's more of a stretch is the Kermit Jones one in California 3rd, but I think that's still a possible. I would say the best candidate though that you mentioned is the one running against Valadeo, which is Rudy Salas.
Oh, that means that we need to
So
get
we
busy.
have good candidates. Trimmer Jones is an interesting candidate. An African-American doctor, works at the Vacaville Kaiser facility. Veteran for the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, White House fellow, and a very interesting candidate in what the Republicans would consider to be their district. And I'm not so sure. I think he might be able to take that. Anyway, that's kind of the lay of the land. As these things settle up after March 11th, Monica, we'll come back to all of the clubs that want to get involved. And by the way, I'm up for election too. So I may want to have all of your, not may want to, I would love to have all of your support. So if you see fit to do that, I would very much appreciate that.
What's in it for us, John?
I'm up too in November, John. I'll be talking to you.
Yeah. So we actually have two Johns running for re-election. So John Fox and Congressman Garamendi. But I think, Bradley, you guys are Congressman, you have a kickoff coming up too, I believe, right? The 24th?
22nd, excuse me,
20,
March 2nd.
March 2nd, okay. Yeah.
March 2nd, the day we're going to do that.
And
and so,
Bradley
yeah,
has put some,
off.
yeah.
And we've heard a rumor, Tom, that the Stonewall Club's efficiency and effectiveness of Zoom meetings should be emulated in our kickoff.
Well,
And so
hopefully you'll do well. I know we'll post it out on our stuff as well. But because I know Bradley gave us the links to that in our chat, as well as we'll put it into our email, follow-up email for this meeting. But anyone have any other questions? Because we've had the congressman now. Oh,
This is Miguel. Congressman, my name is Miguel Castillo, and I'm secretary for a large Latino organization in Solano County Solano County for the bishop. And one of the things happened here, of course, and I'm sure you're aware of it, is the growth in the Latino community has been tremendous. From 2000 to just recently, those 20 years, I mean, it has exploded. We are trying to reach out to them. The problem is that in the Catholic Church, we can't be political, so we have to come up with innovative ways to do that, to reach them. The pastor of, for example, St. Vincent's says, I asked him if I could register people to vote, and he said, yes, but you have to register Republicans too. I said, that'll be no problem, there'll be 3 of them. And the other thing is that we find out as we canvass through our parishes is that the vast majority of the ones that we deal with have been here 20 years, own a couple of cars, a house, have 3 kids born here, and are not documented. That demographic, Congressman, is much, much larger than is generally known. And of course, that's what we're trying to reach. So many of us in the Latino community, they're trying to bring them and make them a political force for the future. That's it.
Thank you so very much for your work. You're correct in every part of your statement here. This district, the 8th district, is about 30% Latino.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 17, 18% African American, and similar percentage Asian. So the predominant racial makeup is Latino. And that is reflected across the state of California. My current district is about the same. Very different circumstances. A lot of that, the current district Latino population is in the agricultural sector from Woodland North. So that makes it somewhat different than the Latino population in the 8th district in terms of their economic activities. But it is a population that really, Miguel, back in 1991 and 2, when Pete Wilson set out to deny all medical services, all social services, all government services to immigrants, undocumented. it was the Latino population that he targeted. And at that time, all of us that were leading the opposition to that thought that the quiet Latino giant would rise up. It did not.
Right.
It did not, and even to this day, it has not manifested. It will, because of work that you and others are doing, but it's not there yet. And when it happens, it will change the very nature of politics in California. It's happening in a few places, but not wide enough. So I'll work with you. I'll work with any organization on voter registration in the Yolo County. In Yolo County, working with the Latino leaders in that county, there are now 28 Latino elected officials in that county.
Wonderful.
And so that is going to very soon, the vast majority of the elected officials will be Latino. The mayors of West Sacramento and Davis are but two examples. So it is happening. I will work with you. There are organizations that are also doing it, doing voter registration in the Latino community, and we certainly will also. So count us in, and we'll be in touch in the weeks and days ahead.
Congressman, you're very well informed, and I, of course, will work my butt off to get you reelected, and we all will, and we look forward to it. I'll reach out to you, all right?
Thank you, Miguel. We'll let you know. A lot of our work's going to be done through the Solano Central Committee and through the clubs.
Okay.
And so we'll look to this club and other clubs and you and similar organizations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Congressman. I just wanted to make note that we have Quentin Voice on as well from the Solano County, Solano Community College School Board. Thank you for coming, Quentin. And thank you so much, Congressman, for being here and talking to us. We look forward to working with you more as we go forward.
It'll be a pleasure, Tom, and thank you so very much for the opportunity tonight. To all of you, look forward to working with all of you, and we'll keep at this. I like the idea of quarterly meetings, Zoom. We could do that. In the meantime, we've got a kickoff on March the 2nd, and we'll be in touch with you and notifying all of you. We'd love to have you join us. That'll be a little fun event. It's not going to be the hot dog and beans that I would love to have, but we'll make the best of it. Tom, thank you so very much. And for all of you, thank you. Monica, I suspect we'll be in touch. McGill,
Yep.
Thank you for voter registration. John, we got work to do, don't we? Thank you all. Bye-bye.
All right.
Have a great
Thanks,
Thank you so
John.
much.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we will move on. Let me share my screen again. Okay. So we're going to move on. The agenda was sent out
Ooh.
to folks last night for people, and then the minutes were also sent out earlier today. Thank you, Joseph, for getting those together, and then for re-getting those together too after Google messed us up. But do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Don't
I'll
be
make a
shy.
motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
Supervisor Brown seconds.
All right, all in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Okay, and for those of you that are on mute, I'm gonna assume that you're gonna say aye. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, thanks so much. Okay. Hello, Don. Long time no see.
Hello.
So moving on, so the minutes were also sent out. Thank you for putting them together. Joseph, they're great. Do we have a motion to approve, or do we have any comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Don
do we have a
Lowry, second.
All right, Don Lowry, thank you. Those A motion made by John Fox, seconded by Don Lowry.
Got
All
it.
those. Sorry?
I recorded that. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyone have issues with the minutes?
There might be a couple typos of names, as I'm not familiar with the spelling of everyone's name, but
You know, you got them documented. It's good enough. All right. With that, do we all those in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye.
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 All right. And then we've got Quentin is abstaining because he wasn't here. So thank you for that, Quentin. All right. And look, there he is. Mr. Voice. Okay, moving on to reports. So from I'll save my report for later in the meeting, but because we have it under old business for membership. John, do you want to give a report?
Yes. Good evening again, everyone. My report. Last night, we had a very, very long school board meeting, and we have 2 properties in Vallejo that we are selling. The first property on Rollingwood and Benicia Road, we are selling for $8,275,000 to KB Homes North Bay LLC. They will be taking a while, though, to get a map of their subdivision of the homes they want to build and going through all the process. It's going to take us about a year to probably finalize the sale of that property. The second property we're selling is over the old Farragut School on Farragut, and that is being sold to a special ed school, and it's called Seneca. So Seneca is going to be taking that over, and it's private and it's for special education. And that one sold for, I think it was $2,930,000. So, and that one won't take as long. That one will probably take, I think within 6 months, that one should be able to close. So it's the first time that we've sold property and we have excess property. So we're glad. And those are both slightly over. The Farragut is about close to the appraisal, but the Rollingwood is $3 million over the appraisal. So that was nice to have. There was a lot of bids coming in for Rollingwood, and all of them were housing developments because that's what it's zoned for. Other items, we still have the masking that the masks that will be going on through next month, and mostly Vacaville, I think Benicia, there's been a lot of uproar. In Vallejo, we haven't heard too much with complaining, thank goodness. We still have had a large amount of students that are absent. Sorry, it's been a long day. And staff also, but the numbers are starting to come down, which is good for staff being absent and for the students. But it's very difficult with the amount of learning loss the students have when they're not in school. Other items, we're continuing with our strategic plan. I'm trying to think. It was a very long agenda. Just a moment. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, and then with the county, I'm the president of the the School Board Association. We're looking to continue our work with equity, and we want to start hearing from students' voices and asking them questions about what they think is equitable or not equitable within their education. So that's the next step that we've done it for the superintendents, the forums, and the school board members throughout Solano County. But now we want to look to student voices and continue that talk of equity, hearing from them. So that's the next step within that project that I'm putting onto Solano County. What else? I think that's it for my report. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, Leah has her hand up.
Leah.
Good evening, John. I'm just curious whether the school district in the selling of that property on Rollingwood, whether they're leveraging any type of way to ensure that they're going to include affordable housing, or is that all going to be market rate? Is there any way the school district can say that they need to have affordable housing for the teachers that live here? The staff that works at the schools? Is there any kind of conversation with the school district and the KB homes?
That's actually anyone that applies. So there was 6 bidders. They had to go through a very strict process and had to qualify through all kinds of, not just financially, but also with their intentions. And through those intentions, they have to make sure that the homes they have, that they're going to go through a process. Now it's going to go shift to the city of Vallejo, and it's going to go through the planning department. And through the planning department, they will hear the applications and what the subdivision and the prices and exactly what you're asking for. And then from there, it'll go to approval, I think last from city council, once the planning department approves it. So that's why it can take up to a year. But yes, those, I think they have to provide, any developer would have to provide staggered level of pricing to go after what you're talking about, the different levels, so people, different incomes. I'm not sure exactly how that looks, but it'll be interesting when it goes to the planning committee and then to permits and then to city council to approve, to hear each step. That'll all come out in the process.
But my question would be, can the board, as the current owners of the property, could they weigh in at any point to the planning process to say we're needing housing that's affordable for the people that work in our school district? Is there any way that they could have further input to try to sway the planning commission and the city council to, when they make the deal with this developer, that they're going to, because right now they say it's 80-20 and we never get to 20. We've never received the 20. And so everything always ends up at market rate, because they're saying, oh, well, it doesn't pencil out for the developer. Well, it doesn't pencil out for the teachers. It doesn't pencil out for the employees that work at the district, so there's got to be some kind of way that we start putting pressure on the developers, if there's going to be a land sale, that they're going to acknowledge at least a percentage and guarantee that percentage is going to be affordable. Because otherwise we can keep going, every piece of land that we're selling now is the last property that we have, and we're almost built out. And so we don't start leveraging those concerns with the city, then they don't, they're going to overlook it. And so one of the things that we keep hearing is that, our workers here can't afford to live here because they can't afford the homes here. So I'm just hoping to have that continued conversation with the school district, that they try to put more pressure on the city to get an agreement to be able to have affordable housing.
As far as I understand from our lawyers last night that were present during the process, that when they put in their application, they had to go through all of that and specify. And now that we accepted the bids, the next part is going now to the planning and to the city. They will have to go through and decide those aspects and what those aspects will look like. So far as I understand, the school district is now done because we have an agreement, and now it goes on to these other entities to further and finish the process. So I think the planning commission would be the next step to ask for that, to make sure that happens. And I hear what you're saying about the 80-20 and that the 20 doesn't always materialize.
Thank
you for the question.
All right, Anna, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, if it's a school for special ed, is it going to benefit Vallejo special ed kids?
Yes, we will be able to. Now we have a close in our own city that students that might need services can go there. Yes, that will be very beneficial. And there will not be any type of competition. It's not a charter school. It's just a private entity that takes care of a special ed and IEP students. It'll be.
But if it's private, will they be able to get scholarships or?
I don't know exactly. I don't know how they.
Yeah.
I just know that it's nice that we would have it close, that any of the Vallejo students that need services now there's something in our own backyard, they're
Yeah.
able to be very close to get those services.
Right. I don't see any more hands up. Okay. Thank you, John, for that. Joseph, do you have a report as our secretary? And you're coughing. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Well, I do have a couple little updates. So there is a cleanup at the Glen Cove waterfront. If anyone's interested, from 9 to 12, Glen Cove Waterfront Park, that is. And another thing that's happening this weekend is the Benicia High School actually built 4 structures. They were originally supposed to be for children, for a playground. But for whatever reason, they are now not suitable for children. And so they have donated to the Humane Society North Bay. And the challenge is that we have to get them forklifted on Sunday morning. So we're looking for a couple of strong people who might be able to help us maneuver these for the cats, and they will be painted with a paint that's safe for cats, and they're beautiful, and they will be distributed onto the shelter grounds. So if there's anybody who feels strong and wants to help, we need a couple more people to volunteer to do that, and you can contact me about that.
And what kind of structures are these?
So I don't want to call them cat houses and get people confused, but they're basically 2-level playhouses for the cats. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put them, we have 2 colonies at the shelter on either side. And so what we're trying to do is make it more hospitable for the colony cats to come onto the premises. They do anyway, and we feed them. But this is just 4 structures that they could be sheltered within. And so, yeah, I guess Benicia High School woodshop class or something built them and then just had to figure out what to do with them. So we're gladly taking them off their hands. It's all being coordinated because they're about 1,000 pounds each.
And you have a truck and everything to pick
We have
them up with?
forklifts on both sides and a trailer. We got a lot of donated equipment, but we need a good 8 people, and we're a couple people short to get them maneuvered onto the trailers.
But now will you take short people?
Short, strong people are fine. We don't discriminate.
Okay.
Good.
All right. So Chris, maybe we have something to do on Sunday.
Yep, fine by me.
Okay, there we go.
I know
We
you're
got
big
2 of
cat
us.
lovers, so that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for that. So we'll move on now to, let me share my screen. Hold on. To our old business real quick, which is the simple report on membership renewal. So we're sitting at a 20% renewal rate right now. So we're going to be continue to push that with stuff. And Anna, I think we had talked about that. So I'll be getting data to you to give some ring-a-dings and stuff. Anna volunteered to do that. Thank you. To help us reach out to people. Excuse me. So yeah, so it's good. We're sitting right now at 34 people that have renewed, so that's good. So we've got money going into the election, and we have a lot of money actually, because we had said that we would pay last year. We said that we would give funds for Noel
Sullivan?
yes, Noel Sullivan's
Vacaville.
yeah, the recall bid, but luckily that all evaporated because they realized they didn't have votes. But so yeah, so we still have a good chunk of change. We will be electing officers. Hopefully someone will volunteer to be treasurer for the next 2-year period. So that's coming up. And we'll go ahead and move into officer elections. So we'll start from the bottom up. Does anyone volunteer to be treasurer or want to be treasurer? Someone knows what a thankless job that is. All right.
Is there no current treasurer?
No, I've been filling in because I was it before becoming chair. But so we'll move on to secretary. Do we have any nominations for secretary? I would like to nominate Joseph Hayden if he will accept.
I nominate Anna.
No,
Oh, a
I
contested
second
race.
for Joseph.
No.
So Anna, do you decline Joseph's nomination?
No, but,
Since
Say
you
yes.
seconded for his?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. You don't want me to do this, seriously.
But we'll make you, we'll have you on as membership outreach. How about that?
Yes, that's
Okay,
good.
so does anyone else want secretary? Okay, with that, the nominations, I call the nominations closed. We have one person that has been nominated. All in favor of Joseph Hayden as secretary? Say
Aye.
aye.
I honestly, I only want to be
Aye.
acting secretary. Thank you, everyone, but
Too
I don't
late.
know.
You
Huh?
had your chance.
No, you didn't ask me if I didn't want it. You asked Anna, she didn't want it.
Because
There's a reason I didn't ask you.
We just can keep calling it acting and you can just do it every month, Joseph.
Yeah, you can call it acting.
Joseph, I'll help. We can both. I'll collaborate with you, or so we could. I
Yeah.
don't want the
Pressure.
I'm a special ed kid. I'm quite serious.
All right. Okay. So moving on for vice chair, I would like to nominate John Fox as our vice chair. Does anyone
Second.
else? Okay. John, do you accept the nomination?
I accept.
Okay. Does anyone else have a nomination for vice chair? All right. With that, we'll call nominations closed. We have one person that has been nominated for vice chair. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays?
Aye.
Wait, was that a nay or a aye? That was an aye, so we're good.
It was
right,
aye.
Okay, anyone want to abstain? Okay, all
So,
right, moving on. Oh,
What
go
happened
ahead.
with the treasurer then? So
No
no one
one-
wanted,
And I wasn't gonna, that they need to have a love for that.
so no one's interested?
We'll talk on as the executive board can talk and find a solution for this. There may be a way we can hornswoggle Paula to help him.
She's gonna be my treasurer in 24. Don't put too much pressure on her.
No, but she could be she could be consult. She could be a consulting treasurer.
Tom,
Okay, moving on to, yes.
Tom, I'd like to make a nomination for chair, to Thomas Bilbo for chair.
All
Second.
right,
Second.
thank you. Okay. Anyone else want to be chair? Or sofa? Okay. Hearing nothing else, nominations are closed. Liat, did you have something? Okay. All right, all those in favor of John's nomination, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anyone abstain or oppose?
Yeah, May. No, I'm just kidding.
Remember, I know where you sleep.
Be kind to your neighbors. They know where you are.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, there. So that is the officers dealt with. And we have Anna. So you're saying you'll be willing to do membership chair?
Sure.
Okay.
Second,
All right. Well, we don't really vote on those that people just sort of volunteer, but
But I
there you go.
appreciate the vote, Monica.
There
Thank
you
you,
go.
Anna.
I know
Yeah.
you'll do a good job.
All right, and then the next thing we need also is we need someone to help with as part of our motley crew here, and we can put this out to the membership that are on the mailing list. We need someone to help with our outreach to candidates and stuff to get them to come into our meetings. So if anyone would like to sort of help with that, please reach out to myself, John, or
I thought that we talked, yeah, I thought that was what I was supposed to help with last month.
then you'll do
I'm
that
happy
as
to
well as
help with
membership.
that. Yeah,
Okay, you can do that, and
That's
you can
out-
just be
well, it's-
outreach.
it's outreach, so,
There you go. Okay,
yeah.
good deal. All right, thanks so much, Anna. Okay, so I put it on the agenda for our primary candidates forum and endorsements. We get to endorse for the LGBTQ community here in Solano County. So this would be over Zoom, and it would be streamed like this meeting is being streamed. The proposed dates would be March 30th and 31st, and this would be for the declared candidates running in the primary. What we've done in the past is we've had a question list that we sent out, but I happen to know that the Central Committee is sending out a very good questionnaire for candidates, but we can always ask them a couple of questions, but the responses for that will be published as well. But do we want to have an endorsement meeting for the 30th and 31st? And it would be at evening, and then we would do like we did in the past. We would vote outside of the meeting, but via Google form. Does anyone recall how we voted for endorsements in the past?
I think that sounds fine, Tom. I know it's a lot of work and I'm not volunteering. Sorry, guys, but I love you all. Help you to give you some money, but
Yeah. So I think if we just do the Zoom meetings and we stream them, then they're available for our members to watch, as well as we can get them to vote for the candidates who are running in the primary, which is June. The dates that I've chosen are after the county elections. The nomination period has closed for those offices, so we'll know who they are. It's probably going to be, there's going to be a primary for Supervisor District 3. They already have 3 people that have said they are running that I believe are Democrats. I know there's also one Republican that's running.
could you tell me which Democrats? Because I only think of 2.
Oh, is it only 2? Okay, then never mind.
Wanda Williams and Jennifer Barton.
I thought there was like
The
another
other
guy.
ones are all Republicans or have reasonably declined to state, kind of like
Yeah.
the Bill Dodd and Tim Grayson thing.
Yeah, so the okay, I thought the other, because I know Tim's is a Republican. I thought the other guy was a Republican, a Democrat, but could be wrong, obviously. So never mind. So we have 2 Democrats running. Wanda Williams, who is a city councilor for Sassoon and a supporter of our community. And then also Jennifer Barton, who has been on the current supervisor's, an appointee by the current supervisor. So yeah, so those are a couple of things, and we'll have some other stuff that's going on in the county as well that we can vote on. So, DA election, thank you, Don. Yes, DA election will be in June, and that is true. And we already know there is one Democrat running, which is Sharon Henry. And I have reached out to her to ask her to come to the club. for next month, and she's agreed. So we will be hearing from Ms. Henry. She'll be running against our current DA, Krishna Abrams. So I think this would be a good time to hear from them. So I guess I would entertain a motion to hold an endorsement meeting for March 30th and 31st with our standard offline voting. Do we have a motion to do that?
John Lowry, so moved.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm trying to write this down. It's a motion to do what?
So we'll have an endorsement meeting, and the club will, which means the club will endorse, and the meeting will be on the 30th and 31st, and we will do offline voting, which means not inside of a meeting. It is online voting, but it's off or outside the meeting.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
We do
it's
it through
kind
a
of,
Google form. We altered our bylaws so we could do it this way. And actually, I don't see us going back. It's much easier. Yeah.
so Don, so you moved and Don seconded?
I asked for a motion and Don made the motion.
Okay, Don made the
And
motion.
now we need a second.
Second, Don Osborne.
There we go.
Okay.
Mr. Osborne has seconded. Thank you, sir. All right. All those, yes, Leon. Discussion?
I'm just wondering, are the Democratic clubs considering holding a debate for the offices that are coming up, especially for the DA's office? Because we had the assistant DA at the United Dems last night. And so we want to make sure that we get as much publicity for who's running, so people are aware, because primaries, people usually don't participate. So we want to get some energy up to make people vote. And so one of the things we were talking about is maybe having a joint Democratic club candidates forum. So I said I would help. I will help. I don't want to organize, but I will help if we're going to do that, just so that we can get more.
I'm hearing that she said that she would organize it. Is anyone else hearing that too?
Help. I will help, because we would need to coordinate between all the Democratic clubs and to see whether we could come up with something. Doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but at least so that people, the more that we talk up the candidates, the more people get energized to vote. So
that's a very good idea. Mr. Lowry, would you entertain an amendment to your motion to make it a joint to endorse the executive committee to reach out to the other clubs to have a joint endorsement candidates forum?
Well, you may want to, the Stonewall Club may want to be focusing on issues specific to your membership, but I will entertain making the motion as flexible as you need it. How about that? And we can go from there.
All right, and Don Osborne. Oh, we got two Dons that did it. Don Osborne, do you accept that as the seconder for that motion? Okay, good deal. So yeah, that's a great idea. So, all right. So oh wait, Don, you had your hand up.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say before others that it would be a good idea if we had worked together to have a county-wide forum, especially for the DA, because I think it's be very important for everyone to be cognizant of the issues that face the community when it comes to our current law enforcement and district attorney collaboration.
Yes, definitely. All right, so I think we can do that. Okay, so with that, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All right, any declines or nays? Any abstains? Okay, we'll consider it passed. Thank you so much. And with that, that's all I have. We'll move on to items for future agendas. Does anyone have anything? If you do, you can always reach eBoard at SolanoStonewallDemocrats.org. Does anyone have any announcements? I would like to announce that we are going to be having a Vallejo Gay Network on the 13th of March. It'll be a Vallejo Gay Network potluck at Mouse's house in Vallejo. So we look forward to having all of you if you want to join us there. It will be later in the evening, I think around 5 o'clock. So it'll be when the time changes on a
What day is
Sunday.
this? Sunday.
It's a Sunday, March 13th. It's basically 3 year or two, I guess it'd be 3 years to the date when he was supposed to have it, but we called it off for the pandemic.
Oh, my God.
I know, yeah. All right, Liat. Oh, go ahead, Joseph. Did you have?
I was just going to say, where does one get those details on the
They'll be coming out soon from Vallejo Gay Network.
Okay.
I'll make sure you get them. Yep. Liat.
Yep, online, know it. Getting our candidates introduced to the public. We are having a Black History celebration at the Naval Museum on Marin on February the 26th. I believe it's from 6 to 8. And we were able to confirm yesterday that the assistant DA is going to be there, not so much that they're going to be there to be, for a big speech, but she'll be there and introduce so that people can hear from her and talk to her about her candidacy. So anybody that's interested in participating, they can come to the event at the Naval Museum, and it's posted on the Naval Museum Facebook page and website.
Leah, did you say March 6th?
November 26th.
February.
February 26th.
26th, okay.
Okay. And we'll get to meet the new executive director of the museum.
Yeah, well, we're planning a reception, a citywide reception for her, I believe on the 19th of March. We haven't solidified that yet, but we're gonna have a community open house so that people can come in and meet our new director.
Great, yeah, because Jim retired.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Chair Olson from our Central Committee.
Hi, everyone. I just had a couple of things to say. One of the things about the debate with getting together with the Democratic clubs is we do have a club coordination committee with the Central Committee. So maybe your representative, which is Tom, could bring that up at the Central Committee meeting to get our committee together to help with that. The other thing I wanted to tell you, I'm in Vacaville and I live close to the high school. I went past there today. There's a big demonstration of kids with signs saying freedom, no mask, and standing in the street. So I just thought you might be interested in that. Kind of disappointing to see those kids.
But one thing with Chair Olson, the Central Committee was able to raise awareness to a resolution that was being promoted by the Solano County Board of Education, or not, that was coming up for the Solano County Board of Education. And we were able to make sure it did not get a second at that meeting. So yay, because for those of you who don't know, Solano County Board of Education was wanting to send a resolution to our governor to tell him to veto any mask mandates and veto any legislation about vaccine mandates.
Just one board. I want to clarify. It was just one board member on of the 7 on the county board,
Yeah.
Amy Sharp. It was only put forward by Amy Sharp, one board member. All the others, as Tom said, there was no second. And also Amy Sharp tried to continue to put it on the next month, and the board refused to even further this onto the discussion next month. I also would like to say the amount of police that were there is more police than probably we have all in Vallejo that one evening. And there still was outrage and discord, and it was unbelievable. And it went on for hours because one board member put this forward and the other 6 were against it. Thank you.
John, they stormed the Bastille. They stormed up that's why the
Mhm.
cops had to be there. It
Yep.
was scary. It was like a January 7th. I mean,
6.
6th, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's, well, we were able to draw enough attention to it throughout the county. I know it was in all the papers, plus we posted it all over social media. And we drew attention, so I think that was pretty good that we got people involved in the process. Democrats turned out and they made sure that the other members knew that it was a hot topic. So yay us and everything, and thank you, Chairman Olson or Chairperson Olson for helping us to do that with making sure that people knew this was going on. It just came out of left field. I think Tiffany Jones also, she brought it to our attention. So, all right, any more announcements? Now you got me wanting hot dogs, Monica. Thanks. That's all I've been thinking about is hot dogs ever since you brought it up with the thing.
I live to please.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
Stay
see you
safe,
all.
everybody. Please wear your masks. It's not over.
Yep,
No.
and March 17th. See you back here, same bat time, bat channel.
March 17th.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Good night. Good night.